Now, I think the next step is going to be adding some products to the bottom here so that we have this kind of filled out. Now, you're not going to add products right here. Instead, Shopify manages our products for us. You should be clicking save as often as possible, maybe every 5-10 minutes. Now let's go back to the dashboard. We can then click on products. So on the left side, remember, this is where the products are, and we've got collections, and we'll talk about those, but let's add our first product here. And for this product, we can choose a title. Maybe the first one, let's just say it's going to be a sleeping bag. We can add a description. I'm just going to generate text using some AI right here. Usually it's not the best way to make a description for your products, but for the sake of time, I'm going to use that feature. It does exist, and when you're just getting a store up and running, that could be a really useful feature just to add something in there to populate it. Then later you can go back and change all of the text. It's also worth noting that in this text editor, we have some tools. Of course, the normal text editing tools, like we can make it bold, italic, underlined. We can also change the color of some text. So if we want that to really stand out, you've got some options there. We can choose if it's going to be center or right or left justified. I'm going to leave this as left justified. And if we want to, we can actually highlight some text. So maybe closely fitting the body. Maybe we did a research study on that, and we have a little article we want to share. We can add a link here, and maybe that link is going to go to, like I said, maybe a blog article, and we can open that in a new window. Let's insert that link. And now when somebody's reading the description of this product, they can click on that and learn a little bit more without having to add all that information in the product description here. You can add images and videos here. I don't recommend adding them here. Generally, adding them down in media is going to be better. It just doesn't really look as good in most themes when you add images to the description up here. So let's upload some media. I'm going to select 3 images. We'll upload them all. Now, the first image is going to be what's really showing up when someone views your product or sees your product, for example, in a collection or something. And the other ones will be visible once they actually click on the product. So maybe the first one, I'm just going to make this the first image. Not that it's a great image, but just for the sake of having more color there, I'll add that. We can choose the price. Maybe it's $139. We could have a compare at price. So maybe it's more expensive at other retailers, or maybe it's on sale right now. We can charge tax, and we can also add some cost per item stuff here. This is not going to be visible to customers, but it's good for you just to have some information on the back end, so you can track what your margin is when especially as you start doing some marketing and stuff like that. You can see what you're spending money on and how much profit you're actually making. Tracking quantity makes sense for products like this one that are physical products, not like downloadable products or anything. So let's say we have maybe 45 of these in stock, and we could either continue selling when they're out of stock or not. Depends on if you want to have back orders, if it's really easy to get. And we can add a SKU or a barcode. If you have more than one product on your site, I find this very, very valuable. So let's say this one's 10,001. And I don't have a barcode for this one. We'll just leave it as is right there. The shipping product or the shipping weight rather, we can add some information there. So maybe this is like 4 pounds. And if you have customs information, maybe you're shipping internationally, you can add it down here. If you have variants, we can add them. So I'm going to say, let's say size is the variant. We can create that as a variant. And the values that we have, we can say tall, then we could say regular. I'll just have 2 variants for this one. We can say done. Now we have 2 different variants there. And you can add other options. Maybe we want to have color as well. And color, we could say this is gray is the first color, but we could actually add other colorways as well. So maybe the other ones are like a blue one and a beige one. I don't know, just we'll add those in there. And now we have kind of a permutation of all of these. So for each one, you can see tall and regular. Each one has 3 variants. If you click the drop down, you can edit them individually. So maybe beige is more expensive, and we can reflect that right here. We can make it maybe 50 cents more expensive. Now it gives us a little price range there, but if you wanted to edit all of them at once, instead of clicking the drop down, you could just click right here, and we can actually change all of them to $149 for the regular one. As you can see, now they're all $149. We do need to track inventory for each one individually, so that makes sense because they are different products. So we'll say maybe each one has like 3 in stock, and same thing up here. We could have 3 and 3, and it shows the total available for tall and for regular now. With the drop down, you can see individually tall gray, tall blue, and tall beige. And then on the very bottom, this is how it's going to show up in a search engine. So when somebody Googles this and they find it, you'll see the name of the product, which looks pretty decent right there. You'll see the description, they show the price, and it says my store and this terrible domain. That'll be some of the next things we will fix here. But let's just save this. Now we have our first product saved and ready to go. Let's go back to products. I'm going to kind of breeze through this. I think you guys get the idea of how to add a product. I'm going to add 2 more just so we have some more products on here. Now I've got 3 simple products here. We're gonna go and make a collection. So if I click on collections on the left side, we have one that's kind of automatically added called homepage, but let's say create a new collection, and we can either make a manual collection in which we select the products individually. So let's do that first and say, maybe it's going to be going fishing, just something relevant for that. And we can select the product. So if I click browse, maybe the canoe paddles and the net would make sense. I can add those, and those will make sense here. We can also add an image. So we have kind of a little banner for when we have this collection shown on the website. And let's go with this one right here, just as a good image. Done. And this one's ready to go. We can save that. That collection is pretty straightforward. It kind of makes sense. But smart collections is really what I am most interested in. I think it's probably the most beneficial, or really a good way to automate a lot of your work. So in the future, if you remove or add products, you don't have to go in and remember to update all of your collections. So maybe this is going to be under $100. A very simple collection idea. All of our best products. And here we can say smart collection, and we have some options. So it could either match all conditions or any conditions. So it's like an and or an or for anyone who understands like some computer logic style stuff. We can say tag is equal to something. So instead of tag, let's say price is less than $100. And we could add other conditions and say, all right, it has to be less than $100 and it has to be in stock, right? So we could say inventory. I thought I saw inventory stock is greater than 0. So that way, anything that's in stock and is less than $100 is recommended there. We don't want to be recommending products that are out of stock. And as long as both conditions are met, it will automatically be included in this collection. So I'm going to add an image for this collection as well. And sure, I think this should be a decent image to use. So we'll save that. And smart collections, kind of talking about this a little bit further. If we look at add other conditions, we've got inventory stock, we've got category, we have title. So maybe the title has to contain certain letters or words, or ends with something, or doesn't contain something. You can really be very specific. The weight could be a limiting factor here. You could have the title, the meta fields, the compare at price. So it could be anything that's like on sale. There's a lot of different things you can add in for those conditions. And like I said, either all or any of the conditions can be met to either restrict or expand the search essentially for this smart collection. So we have this one. Let's go back to collections, click on collections, and now we have 2. Pretty good. We've got 2 different collections here, plus the one that they gave us. So technically 3. Might as well talk about the left side while we're in products right now. We've got inventory. So all of our products, you can see what's in stock, and we can always add some more and adjust this as needed. Purchase orders would make sense if you are, or transfers as well, if you are kind of managing an inventory or moving it between locations.